Hey everybody, welcome back to Mixing Music Analog and mixingmusicanalog.com and here on the YouTube channel, and look who I found out in the backyard sneaking around.
Hi guys.
Dave is back and he's been here all day and we've been doing videos all day for you guys. So today, or right now, this is the third video of the day. We are going to compare today the sound of the Trident 80b hardware 500 series units, which I'm sure you'll see on the screen somewhere. And we're going to compare that to the Trident 80b plugin made by Trident themselves. So this will be really, really cool. Normally, whenever we compare hardware to plugins, it's not the same company that makes the hardware that makes the plugin. Except for the SSL Fusion, which you guys can check the archive because we did one of those. So this is our second time where we have the opportunity to demo the plugin from the same company that actually makes the hardware. We're going to listen to it on some a drum bus, on acoustic guitar, and on a lead vocal, so you can hear the difference between the hardware and the plugin and see which one you like. So before we get started, make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. And what do we always say, Dave, at the beginning of this video?
70% of the people that watch our videos are not subscribed.
Not subscribed.
Why not, people? What is your problem?
What's the matter, you? That's what my grandma used to say.
Yeah.
Make sure you like, share, subscribe. It does really help content creators like us. It's really imperative that the more eyeballs that are watching these videos, the higher those sub numbers are. It allows us to have a little bit more leverage with some of these companies when you guys say, hey, can you demo this? And hey, can you demo that? Well, the only way we could do it today is if one of us or both of us go out and personally buy the equipment. It'd be nice to start getting some loaner gear in here so we could do more education and let you guys hear all this stuff. So again, like, share, subscribe. And then also go to mixingmusicanalog.com if you want to learn more about having your mix or your music mixed with all this wonderful stuff. So here we are. So here's what we did. If we jump into Studio One, you're going to see it here. So we have three groups of tracks. We're going to start with the top ones here in blue. These are our drums. Basically, we routed all the drums down to a drum bus, and then we did three different passes. The first one is completely dry with no plug-in, no hardware. Only any little bit of EQ that was lightly done to the drums with a little bit of panning. There was no compression on any of the individual drum tracks. However, there's a tiny bit of compression going on from the SSL console as well. We ran those dry. Then the second pass, we did the same thing, but we disengaged or disconnected the hardware. And we actually ran it dry completely through. And then we put the plug-in on it, which you're going to see in a second. And then we did it with the hardware and ran the hardware through. We're going to show you all the settings, and we did that. So we have dry with nothing on it again, but with a plug-in inserted, and then hardware inserted. And if we bring up our console view here, here's the settings that we used on the hardware and the plug-in. So here is the Trident 80b plug-in. And we used the same exact settings on the hardware when we did our hardware pass. So on this particular one, we have about a 3 dB boost at 60 Hertz. We took a 3 dB out at around 500, and then we added 3 dB at about 6K, and then at
12K.
At 12K, right? Yeah. 12K, yeah, buttons out, 12K, we added about 3 dB. That's what we did on the hardware. That's what's on the plugin.
Oh, and the 50 Hertz high pass is disengaged on this one.
Disengaged on this one for the drums. So basically what your job is on watching the videos to watch the solo button. So the first track is drums dry, that's nothing. Then we're gonna go to the plugin, and then we're gonna go to the hardware. We'll start with the dry, and then we'll just bounce back and forth between the hardware and the plugin, right? Just so you can hear the difference, if there's a difference between how does the plugin sound versus the hardware on the same settings. Gabish? All right.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So here's what it's dry right now.
It's, we're back to that thing with the hardware to plugins.
I'll bring the plugin up so
Yeah.
people can see the interface.
Yeah, we're back to that thing with hardware versus plugin, where the hardware, like tonally, they're very close.
Yeah.
But the hardware, I'm hearing more of the room, and I'm hearing more width and depth to it as opposed to with the plugin.
Yeah, tonally, tonally they should be the same because we use the same settings, but I hear a little bit more brightness, a little bit more liveliness on the top end with the hardware. The plugin seems a little duller, maybe dull. That's kind of the word.
It's a good one, yeah.
But the settings are identical. Okay, so yeah, so we're hearing I'm hearing a little bit more sparkle on the hardware.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So let's listen to that again. Again, I can leave the plugin on the screen if you guys want to see it. And we'll start with the plugin. We won't listen to the dry at this point. And then we'll go to the hardware. Here we go. Yeah, so I hear exactly what you're hearing. You can hear it in the snare because you can hear the resonant snare. It almost seems like there's more room around the snare.
Yeah.
And again, it's more of that kind of a 3D thing where when the plug-in sounds to me like it's a little more, everything's a little bit more upfront, a little more linear, and there's a little bit more depth happening in the hardware. And again, it's pretty close, but it's certainly audible.
Yes, I agree with you completely. Yeah, it's audible. It's not like a huge difference to it, but there's definitely a difference there.
It's not huge. It's got the same tonal qualities. And again, again, you could say there's a little bit more sparkle in the snare. And yes, you can adjust the EQ to give it a little bit more sparkle. And now the settings aren't exactly the same, so you can achieve that. But I'm more focused on. But wait a minute, it's not just the tone, it's also the kind of the little bit more depth, the space around the snare especially.
Yeah, the space around the kit is more pronounced in the hardware than it is in the plugin.
Right, so there's the drums. So now we did the same thing where we did on an acoustic guitar. So now we're gonna go to an acoustic. Well, here's the dry sounding whoops, wrong button. Here is the dry sounding acoustic.
You might shorten that loop up.
Yeah, I'll shorten the loop up a little on this. There we go. So here's the dry sound of the acoustic. So there you go. So there's your dry acoustic. So now we're going to go plug-in and then hardware. Okay? So we'll stay off the dry now. Here's what the plug-in. Oh, and we can bring up the settings here. So you can see on the plug-in what we did, and then we did the same thing on the hardware. So our low shelf here, we have it about 120 hertz. We added about 11 dB to give a little more body, because we're not doing this in the context of the mix. We're doing it in solo, so we wanted to thicken it up a little bit. We put the high pass filter on at 50. In the low mids here, whoops, what are we doing there? Low mids, we took 3 dB out at about 500. And then at about 6K, we added about 3 dB. And then
we slammed it full of 12K.
12K, 15 dB up.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what we did on the hardware as well. Here is the plug-in, and then we'll go back and forth to the hardware. Here we go. Okay, what are you hearing?
More low end in the plug-in, more high end in the hardware.
Yeah.
The space thing that was going on in the drums is not nearly as pronounced, the difference now.
Yep.
Other than that, they're very close.
Yep, a little bit closer. Definitely a little more muddy in the low end, and that's because we got 120.
Yeah.
We're boosting a bunch here, and that's what we did on the hardware. So you could boost a little bit more in the hardware in that lower mid range,
Without,
and not getting too muddy. Now, if you if you wanted to just cheat a little bit and just back this low mid off a little bit, now let's see what the difference is. So here's the plug-in, and then we'll go to the hardware. Yeah, so it's a little bit closer.
Yeah, I think if you put maybe like a half a dB or a dB back in on the low shelf on the plug-in, we'd be dead on.
In the plug-in.
Yeah, in the plug-in, I think we'd be dead on. Just kick it up to like 6.6, 6.7, and I think it's dead on.
Let's try that. So here's the plug-in. But the hardware is definitely an upper mid, a little bit more clarity in the top.
Yeah, I think with the hardware compared to the plug-in, you can push the hardware more than you can push the plug-in. It's more forgiving.
Well, and look at and here on the hardware on the plug-in, where we did 15 dB at 12K.
Yeah.
And you can't push, and it's still not as sparkly as the hardware.
Yeah, but like I said, the hardware just feels because you're getting more out of it, and it's more forgiving at the same time. It's kind of weird, but. Yeah, but like I said, the tonally they're closer, but the space thing is completely gone. The depth field is the same on both.
Yeah, it seems pretty. Yeah, it's close enough that it's not like wow, there's definitely a depth difference.
As opposed to the drums.
Yeah. So there you go on acoustic. So that's the acoustic guitar. So now we're going to do the same thing, vocals. So we got a lead vocal soloed up here, get by Barry Diger. Go check his links out in the description box. We're going to start with the vocal dry just so you can hear it in the chorus. Here we go.
It's all night. I got it, bad boy. I got it, bad boy. I got it, bad for you, yeah. I got it, bad boy. I got it, bad boy. I got it, bad for you.
Okay, so there's a dry vocal. So let's bring up the plugin and let's show them what we did here. So here's the plugin on this. And again, hardware settings will be identical. So low shelf there, we added a little bit at 120 just to give a little more body to his voice because again, we're doing it in solo.
Yep. High pass is engaged.
High pass is engaged, nothing on the low mids. We added about 3 dB at around 2K, 2.5K. And then at 12K, we added quite a bit, about 10, 12 dB to brighten up his vocal a little bit. And that's what we did on the hardware. So let's start over here with the plugin, and then we'll go to the hardware, and then back to the plugin.
It's all night. I got it, bad boy. I got it, bad boy. I got it, bad for you, yeah. I got it, bad boy. I got it, bad boy. I got it, bad for you. I've been around the block. I missed some time. The way you look at me, you're looking so fine. What can I say to move this thing along? So take a chance on me, you can't go wrong. Yeah, yeah.
I feel like that plugin might be just a touch louder, and it just seems like it's got a little bit more aggression, the plugin, and the two that in that.
Yeah.
Just trying to lower that the best we can, guys. Trying to get it as level match as we can. Here is the plugin.
It's all night. I got it, bad boy. I got it, bad boy. I got it, bad for you, yeah. I got it, bad boy. I got it, bad boy. I got a bed for you.
So it seems like the hardware to me is a little smoother on this. It's got, even though again, the settings are the same. And again, you could tweak the settings. You know, we added, you know, at that 2.5, we added some of that high mid here on the plugin. And that's where it sounds like it's more aggressive to me. Like if you wanted to make it a little more smooth, maybe you pull that out.
Yeah. Whereas the hardware had the same setting.
Same exact set, yeah, same exact settings. Now we're just, you know, seeing can we get them closer just by tweaking the plugin a little. So here's the plugin.
It's all night. I got a bed for you. I got a bed for you. I got a bed for you, yeah. I got a bed for you. I got a bed for you. I got a bed for you. I've been around the block. I missed some time. The way you look at me, you're looking so fine. What can I say to move this thing along? So take a chance on me, you can't go wrong. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's pretty close.
Yeah, they're really close. I think the hardware overall is a little more present, but they're very close. And again, the same thing as with the acoustic guitar, the space thing is gone.
Yeah.
You know, but as I said, the plugin is doing a very good job of emulating the hardware here.
Yeah, this is an example of where, and we found this on the SSL Fusion too, was the only other example that we were able to do, where the company that made the hardware actually made the plugin. Yeah. And even in the Fusion, although we preferred the hardware slightly, but it was pretty remarkably close.
The differences were narrow enough that you could get away with the plugins and have no issues at all.
Yeah, and I feel like we're kind of experiencing the same thing here. I mean, this is a $59, or I think it's on sale, $99 plugin versus a $450 piece of hardware.
Times two.
Times two if you're running a pair, right? I have two, so that's $900 versus, you know, you can buy one plugin and you can put it on everything, right? So, and again, this is kind of the experience, at least thus far, in our, you know, I wouldn't say limited, but semi-limited testing, that whenever we compare the EQs to the hardware, they're way closer than the compressors. The compressors, we've yet to
night
find.
And day.
Yeah, we yet to find one where we said the plugin sounds on par to the hardware in a compressor, and we've yet to find one that said we thought it sounded better.
Yeah, agreed.
Which is how far away was it from the hardware? Where in the EQ, and again, and I know people will say, and you're right, before you start typing the comments, in the context of the mix, is anybody going to hear the difference? No. In this example, no. But that's not the point. We're trying to show you what the differences are.
Yeah, and as I said, it seems to be in general, and speaking very generally, is that, like you say, the differences plug into hardware with compressors is much wider, whereas the differences with plugins to EQs is much narrower, to the point where you're not necessarily negating the hardware advantage, but you can live without it if you have a budget problem or anything else going on like that. Because didn't you also have the same experience with the API?
The API, but the API I don't think was quite this close.
No, I think the API there was definitely more of a difference.
Yeah.
I think we did did we do some pull tech stuff where it was?
No, not yet. We haven't done audio-scape EQP. We're getting there. It's on the list.
Yeah, we have to. So we have to do pull tech yet.
We got to do some of that. But
experience with the Violet EQ on the Fusion. Yep. The experience with the API 5500 and now the experience with the Trident 80b is, yes, there are quantifiable and hearable differences, but they're not big enough to make a huge difference in the context of a mix, whereas hardware, the difference is much bigger.
Right, and I guess the other thing to consider when you talk about EQ and our hardware, like again, if we're only using one piece of hardware versus one plugin.
Yes.
And we're going, okay, there's a very, very subtle difference from one to the other. But now if you had 6 Trident 500 series hardware versus 6 plugin. So in other words, that little itty bitty bit with hardware compounds itself.
Yes.
Which is where, when we eventually get to an SSL EQ versus an SSL plugin, on a channel by channel basis, we're probably going to hear this.
Yeah.
But where we would hear a much bigger difference
when you spread it across 32 EQs.
You got 32 EQs.
Yeah.
That's where I think you're going to hear a much bigger difference.
Because it's like you say, the difference is going to compound itself as you stack more channels onto it. So like if you had a board with 24 80b EQs in them and you put 24 plugins,
Right.
you're gonna the difference is gonna be wider simply because of the multiplication of the differences.
Yeah, so if you have that,
So-
and I don't know in the Trident consoles there, like the one Charlie has, if it has the 80b in it, but I know he has 24 EQs or 32.
Yeah, he has 32 channels.
He has 32
so
channels of EQ. I'm not sure exactly which EQ he has. I think it's the 80b.
we'd have to look into it.
I'd have to look, but either way, again, your point is well taken. So yeah, if you have a Trident console with all those Trident EQs across an entire mix versus having just this plugin across all of it, I think then you're going to hear a much bigger difference.
Yeah, then then like the A to B comparison is going to be a much starker comparison.
Right.
But
Right.
like it's using it because like we only have 2 ADBs, so we really can't, you can't make that difference stand out.
No, unless you went and we printed all the tracks back in one at a time and did all of that, but that's a hassle.
Yeah.
That's for another video. But I mean, overall, this plugin's a good plugin.
It's a great plugin.
It's a great plugin. So there you go. So let us know in the comments below what you guys think. What did you think about the test? And if you're looking for, some Trident hardware, but sounds really good in a plugin, this is one to consider. Like I said, go to the Trident website. They sell it directly on their website. And again, I think right now it's like $60. So if you're looking for a decent EQ, $60 is good. And if you really want the hardware because you like twiddling the knobs with your hands, those are only $450.
Yeah, that's a very reasonable price for a 500 anything.
And it sounds great.
And it sounds really good.
It sounds good too, so there you go. So, hope you enjoyed this video. Again, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and let us know in the comments below what you thought about the Trident stuff. And if you have any other experience with Trident gear, we'd love to know. And again, until next time, I've been Dave and he's been Dave with Mixing Music Analog and mixingmusicanalog.com. Thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.
Take care, guys.